Well, hello everybody and welcome along to Silverstone. We're on the Grand Prix circuit this weekend and we've got coming up round 9 of the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli, including the Autofarm Porsche Boxster Cup and 911 Challenge as well. Off the cars go onto their formation lap ahead of the first of 2 races that we'll have for them over the course of this weekend. Now, we regularly see the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli racing separately to the Porsche Boxster Cup, but as we're on the Grand Prix circuit and we can accommodate the huge entry list that we've got for this weekend, we see all of the cars lined up together and off they head on their formation lap. So let's guide you through then the way that they line up based on the qualifying times that we saw from earlier on this morning. It is Kevin Harrison that starts on pole position, with Chris Dyer, already a race winner this season, sitting alongside Kevin Harrison with his first pole position in the best part of nearly 20 years. Simon Clark and multiple champion Pete Morris sit there on row number 2. And row 3 of the grid sees Bill Cayley as the only member of the Cayley family present this weekend, alongside number 17 Andrew Muggeridge. Row 4, Colin Tester, and number 88, which is Paul Simpson. The 5th row of the grid sees on the inside Andrew Porter line up alongside Oliver Chatham, and row 6 is Paul Seagrave and Angus Archer. Onto the 7th row of the grid, that's where we see Carl Hazelton, who's got Vince Blacker for company, and it's Julian Morris and Kevin Ludford that sit there on row number 8, with row 9 being comprised by Paul Patterson and Brian Richardson. Then we move on to the first of the 911 Challenge and Autofarm Porsche Boxster Cup competitors. Pole position, in reality for that, goes the way of the car that starts 19th on the grid, Tim Bates, who is yet to be beaten so far this year in the 911 Challenge. He's got James Neal sitting alongside. And then the next row of the grid, which is row number 12, is Darren King and Paul Evans. Onto row number 13, on the inside of the 13th row of the grid, is going to be Shiraz Khan, and Wayne Gregory sits alongside, and it's Darren Labette and Perry Darling that are next up on the grid. Then it's Nathan Lucky and the car of Sarah Thompson on row number next row of the grid, and row 15 of the grid sees the car of Matt Thompson line up alongside Scott Adams. Penultimate row, full row of the grid, is number 600, which is Simon Ruffle Ward and Graham Hurd, and then the final few cars towards the tail end of the field, Eric Bridges, Faye Noble Evans and Stephen Shaw complete what is a very, very full grid of cars here on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Now, for Kevin Harrison, he was saying earlier on it's his first pole position, he thinks, for the best part of 21, 22 years. 2001, he thinks, was his last pole position. Kevin, who's been racing Porsches for a very, very good number of years now. He's got Chris Dyer lining up alongside him. Well, Kevin Harrison, so far this season, has claimed a win. He did claim a win at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit at round 4 of the championship season. Could he convert pole position here to another race win, or might Chris Dyer have something to say about that? Chris Dyer has claimed a win. That was last time out at Alton Park, where he claimed his only win of the championship season so far. So we'll have to wait and see as to what might happen over the course of what is scheduled to be the first of 2 25-minute races here. I mentioned that Bill Cayley was the only member of the Cayley family on the grid, and that's because James Cayley was involved in an incident here yesterday at Silverstone, and as a result of that incident he has had to withdraw from this race meeting. He's feeling, I would imagine, slightly second hand as a result of the incident in testing yesterday. So if you're watching, James, best wishes, get well soon from everybody within the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli, and hopefully we'll see you back out competing very, very soon indeed. So the cars just threading their way round ahead of this first race of the weekend for them. We see them back out later on this afternoon. Kevin Harrison is the number 16 car on pole position. The Straza backed car of what is Chris Dyer sitting alongside. Here's a red and black car. And then row 2 of the grid, Simon Clark, white and light green and yellow for number 23 Simon Clark, who is a former champion in this category over the course of the last 2 years. Simon Clark in the number 23 car. He's got the multiple former champion, number 9 Pete Morris, for company. So 4 very quick cars on the front 4 positions of the grid. The final row of the grid is as good as in position. The MSVR BMW safety car is just hanging around at the tail end of the field should it be called into action, and we now have all of the cars, I think, fully lined up on the grid, and we're about to get this first 25-minute race underway. Kevin Harrison on pole position, the red and black car, Chris Dyer sitting alongside, and once we get the last couple of rows fully sorted, we can then start to get our race underway. These rear-engined Caymans, 996s and 997s should rocket off the line with all of that weight over the driving axle when the lights go out. They are not going to be slow at all as they get off the line. All of the cars in Class 1 running on slick tyres, those in Class 3 and Class 2 run on treaded tyres. Away they go, and it doesn't look as though it's a bad start from Kevin Harrison from pole position, but Chris Dyer looks as though he tries to draw himself alongside, isn't quite going to make it as they head up towards Copse Corner. So it is Kevin Harrison that picks up the early overall lead of the race, and it does look as though everybody is safely at the moment through the first corner and propelling themselves down towards the Maggots and Beckett's complex for the first time, with Kevin Harrison not only in the lead of the race but already having a little bit of daylight between himself and Chris Dyer in second position. It's going to be Simon Clark in third, Pete Morris is fourth, and fifth is going to be Bill Cayley that sits there in fifth position. Squeal of tyres ahead, that's a spin and recovery for Andrew Muggeridge, who is slowly getting himself back up to speed. Car's having to brake drivers right and brake drivers left to avoid the stricken car as it tries to recover from a spin. I would imagine, as it's a Class 1 car, cold Pirelli tyres on that car was probably what caught out Andrew Muggeridge there, and he's now dropped well and truly down through the order and has left himself a huge chunk of work to do for the remainder of the race. And there he goes now, the number 17 car, starting to carve his way through and past some of the Autofarm Boxster Cup competitors. So for the lead of the race, Kevin Harrison had sprinted away in the early stages, but we're only part the way around the lap, and all of a sudden Alton Park winner Chris Dyer is trying to hunt down the hugely experienced Kevin Harrison. We've got the reigning champion over the course of the last 2 years, Simon Clark, just sort of sitting there menacingly in the background there in third position. And is this Chris Dyer now trying a move for the lead of the race? He tries one way, tries the other, but it's not going to work as they head through farm and village. He's too far away also as they head up towards the loop. So it is Kevin Harrison that is leading the way in the early stages of this first of two Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli races here at Silverstone. 25-minute race, plenty of time for everything to settle down. As for the 911 Challenge, I could just see the car of James Neal heading through shot there. I think in the early stages of the 911 Challenge he has picked up the lead of that. We'll try and pick up who's leading in Class 2 and Class 3 for the Autofarm Boxster Cup shortly as well, but we are nose to tail through Luffield for the lead of the race. The Cayman applying the pressure on the 996 to see whether Chris Dyer can unlock the door to the lead of the race, but nothing doing at the moment. Lap number 1 chalked into the book. Harrison leads, Chris Dyer second. His teammate Pete Morris, multiple former champion, sitting there in third at the wheel of the 997. Then it's the 996 of Simon Clark and of Bill Cayley. And there in what is sixth position, that's going to be Colin Tester, is it? Yeah, so he's the leader of Class 2 at the moment. That dark blue and white Boxster with the Dayglow flashes to it is the leader of Class 2, Colin Tester. I think he had a few problems in qualifying. They've clearly rectified the car, Supertune and the boys and girls there, to sort that out, and he's running beautifully well in a Class 2 car. There he goes there, inside the top 6 at the moment. Colin, who has been the man to be tried to beat in Class 2. Himself and James Coleman have largely shared the spoils between them in terms of the Class 2 wins over the course of this season. But you can see Colin Tester has quite a sizable lead in Class 2. There's quite a gap back to the car that's there in 7th place. And that looks as though it's a number 88 car that's there in 7th place, which is going to be Paul Simpson. Paul Simpson fighting away with Oliver Chatham and also the 44 car of Andrew Porter. So good little squabble that is for 6th, 7th, 8th, and you could argue 9th place as well, because trying to latch himself onto the back end of that is another one of the cars as well, trying to join in on the fun. And all of these cars are running in Class 2 as well. So you can see the battle for second in Class 2 is a good one, and now we've nearly got 3 for the lead of the race as well. We could see they're just heading through shot, because Pete Morris has managed to catch both his teammate, which is Chris Dyer, and Kevin Harrison as well. So a slight unsettling of the car there as they flat out through the little kink at Abbey. You could just see a little bit of wiggling there on the car of Paul Simpson, the number 88 grey car, as he looks to try and still hang on to second in the Boxster class. But for the overall lead of the race, Kevin Harrison just having enough in hand. So 996 leads Cayman, leads 997 at this stage as they head down the Wellington Straight. And has Pete Morris got the overlap on Chris Dyer? I think he has. Yep, through goes Pete Morris, man who has been enormously successful in this championship. We've seen Pete racing Porsches for a very good number of years, whether it be in the Porsche Club Championship, whether it be in the likes of GT Cup, or even a brief foray into British GT as well, did Pete some years ago. At the moment, he has unpicked his teammate, So it's still Strasser cars sitting there second and third, but the order has shuffled, and falling away from them is the reigning champion, Simon Clark. He's not really making inroads in fourth place currently, at the wheel of the number 23 machine. Now, Chris Dyer probably got a better exit coming out of Copse Corner than Pete Morris did, so is he going to sweep his way back to second? Outside at Maggots, gives him the inside line for Beckett. Pete Morris tries to brave it out, but eventually has to yield and drops back down through the order. That's an off. That's Andrew Port, who had a bit of a moment at Copse Corner. He had been in 8th position, but I think that little moment there and the run off onto the outer tarmac at Copse is going to drop him outside of the top 10, I would have thought. So down the hanger straight. Kevin Harrison just doing enough at the moment. I would now keep your eye on the car that's there in 4th position, because Simon Clark is beginning to reel in those behind. As for the lead for the battle of Class 3 that we need to keep an eye on as well, I think leading Class 3 currently is going to be the number 22 car that leads Class 3, which is Peter Evans. Now, what we're looking at here is the number 27 machine, which is Kevin Ludford. That's one of the Class 2 cars. He's got right behind him Vince Blacker. Vince Blacker's coming under attack from Julian Morris and also from Carl Hazelton. So this is a inter-class battle in Class 2, whereas Class 3 caters for all of those cars that are running in the Autofarm Boxster Cup. Very, very, very late on the brakes, really threw it up the inside there to try and squeeze his way through, did Vince Blacker. Made it stick on the way in towards Vale. Has he made it stick on the way out as they went towards Club Corner? We'll have to wait and see. Now, everywhere you look, there are squabbles going on. Over the start-finish line of what is the Grand Prix start-finish line goes, I think that's Darren Labette at the wheel of the 52 car. I think leading the 911 challenge still at the moment is number 11 here, which is going to be Neil Matthews. Yes, he is. So, or James Neal rather. So James Neal still leading the 911 challenge. Only just though from Chris Bates. Chris Bates has been the man who is yet to be beaten in the 911 challenge so far this season. So 18 minutes to go. Kevin Harrison leading the way. That's now 3 laps completed for Brands Hatch race winner Kevin Harrison. Falling a long way back now in 5th place is number 80, which is going to be Bill Cayley. Completing the top 6 is still the Class 2 leading car, number 91, which is Colin Tester, but the top 4 have broken away as they head on to lap number 4. The fastest lap of the race went last time through to the car that's in 2nd place, which is Pete Morris. So Pete Morris with a 2 minutes 20.616 as the fastest lap of the race so far, and he'll look to see whether he can edge ever closer to the car behind him. There is an actual extra point for the fastest lap in your individual class, so that's an extra championship point for the moment that Pete Morris is picking up. In terms of the point scoring, 25 for the win, 21 for second, 18 for third, and so on and so on. Extra championship points available for pole position for fastest laps. Even if you get your entry in at the appropriate time to the next race meeting, you pick up an extra championship point for that. So top 4 pretty much together. Kevin Harrison from Pete Morris, and also for the 911 challenge, side by side for the lead of that almost, are they? It's still just about James Neal in the number 11 car that leads the way, whilst getting past him is Andrew Muggeridge trying to carve his way back up through the order following his spin, but James Neal would be well advised to just let him go here, because that's a car that he doesn't need to do battle with. What he does need to do is make sure he holds off the car that's behind him, which is that white car with the red and the light blue stripe down the centre of him, which is Tim Bates. And as I said earlier on, in the 911 challenge aspect of this race, Tim Bates is as yet to be beaten so far this season. He's claimed wins at every single 911 challenge race that we've had so far this year, but not in this one at the moment. James Neal is just doing enough. Now this is the fight for 30th position backwards at the moment. Simon Ruffle Ward having to stick his elbows out in the gold car to try and prevent Eric Bridges from squeezing his way through. And Bridges desperate to try and move himself up into the top 30, but Simon Ruffle Ward having none of it. They've also got right behind them as well, looking to try and close in on the brakes, Brian Richardson. So good little squabble between those 3, and then there's more fights further back as well. I think it's Stephen Shaw that sits just behind them as well. So this is something like 30th, 31st, 32nd, and in the background 33rd and 34th places all being disputed, with still 15 minutes to go in this 9th round of the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli here at Silverstone on the Grand Prix circuit. Simon Ruffle-Ward doing enough at this stage and having just enough gap between himself and Eric Bridges so as to not to worry too much. Boxster Challenge, the Autofarm Boxster Challenge, is a very good way of going Porsche racing. Very, very affordable. A spin, recovery, should get things going again. Paul Simpson, but he's clearly had a tangle with Andrew Porter, because both of them are off the circuit at exactly the same place. And now we've got the change potentially for third happening. Simon Clark can't quite work his magic there. Chris Dyer at the wheel of the Cayman just did enough in third place to prevent the back-to-back reigning champion from taking the podium spot away from him. Now, as for Kevin Harrison, he's had a win, the race leader, at Brands Hatch earlier on this season. But for Pete Morris, he'll be desperate to see if he can pick up a win, because it was way back on the 30th of April, the last time we saw Pete Morris stand on the top step of the podium. Simon Clark this time going to squeeze his way through into third. No, Chris Dyer chops across the nose again of the 996 to hang on to the place. So, still 996 from 997 from Cayman at this stage in the race. Simon Clark, the 2020 and 2021 champion, in the number 23 car, sitting there in 4th position. And for the lead of the 911 Challenge, still together as well, James Neal still under attack and under the cosh rather from Tim Bates, who, despite throwing everything at it, maybe might have the kitchen sink in reserve, but he's pretty much thrown everything at it so far, but nothing as yet has been able to unpick the lead of the 911 Challenge aspect of this race from James Neal, who's doing a really, really good job of hanging on to it. So a slightly newer 964 leading the 911. Tim Bates, you can see the nose of the car dip as he tries to brake as late as he possibly can in towards Village Corner, but still too far away now. More squabbles going on elsewhere down through the order as well. This is going to be Mike Thompson at the wheel of his Boxster, and that's a spin. Oh, that was the man who was leading the 911 Challenge aspect of the race, and that's James Neal. Looks as though he's had a spin as he's come out of the loop and got towards Aintree. Lost the tail end of the car. Now, whether that was too enthusiastic on the throttle, whether the car got unloaded on a curb, or whether there was a little bit of contact, simply didn't see. But either way, that now surely has put Tim Bates into the lead of the 911 Challenge aspect of this race. Whilst we've still got this great fight going on for the final place inside the top 30, and I think Eric Bridges was going to get the job done there over Simon Ruffle-Ward and the Warsteiner liveried car. Should go through. He's got the position. Has he got the momentum, though, to do it on the run in towards the braking area for Village? We've also now got an attack for the lead of the race, as well as Pete Morris down the Hanger Straight up towards Stowe. Really ever more closes in onto the Pirelli wheel tracks of Kevin Harrison. No matter where you look in this race, there are fights going on. As we say, we had something like 37 cars, was it? Something like that, 36, 37 cars qualifying this race. And that's with a couple of withdrawals as well. Kevin Molyneux withdrew after qualifying. Stuart Jeffcoat withdrew after qualifying. We know of the issues that befell the hugely unfortunate James Cayley yesterday. And as we say, we wish him well with his recovery following his incident here in testing. But for the lead of the race, still 4 for the lead. You can maybe argue it's now 3, because Simon Clark has just maybe, has he lost a car's length? No, he was just so far out of shot as he was trying to attack Chris Dyer. So it is still 4 for the lead. And we are just now past the halfway point of this race. Now, for Simon Clark in 4th position, what he needs to do, Simon Clark, is just keep accumulating championship points, because in this particular championship, you take all of the rounds and you discount your 2 worst scores. So it's 14 races, you count your best 12, and for Simon Clark, he didn't appear at Brands Hatch, so those are 2 points or 2 scores that he's going to have to drop because he wasn't present. So the key for him now, if he wants to try and make it 3 championships on the bounce, is be consistent. So he's sitting there in 4th. Ideally, he'd like the extra points for 3rd, but what he can't afford is to try a move that doesn't work, get a non-finish, because that would absolutely unpick his championship in the blink of an eye. So I think he's doing the right thing here, the number 23 car, sitting on the coattails of the car ahead. If an opportunity presents itself, brilliant. If it doesn't, settle for 4th and 16 championship points. So this is now for the 7th time through Beckett's. Kevin Harrison already with his lights on to forewarn any traffic that he catches, that he can't afford to be compromised. There's the Class 2 leading car. which is Colin Tester. Been racing Porsches for a good period of time, but Colin also turns his hands to many other sorts of racing as well. Instructor at Brands Hatch is Colin. He'll also be racing here, I think, at Silverstone in another couple of weekends' time in another particular championship in a Porsche. So Colin Tester leading Class 2 at this stage. And I would say comfortably leading Class 2. He's got about nearly 8.5 seconds gap between himself and Angus Archer at the wheel of the number 70 car that's second in Class 2 currently. But for the overall lead of the race, less than 10 minutes to go. Kevin Harrison is still feeling the pinch rather, and he's feeling the pinch from the multiple former champion, the man from the West Midlands, Pete Morris, who is very much in his wheel tracks, but rather frustratingly as far as Pete is concerned, he's just a bit too far away to try and mount a challenge for the lead of the race and try and pick up what for him, if he could do it, would be his third win of the championship season, whereas for Kevin Harrison, he desperately wants to try and make it win number 2 of the year. Chris Dyer's had wins, and as contact, Chris Dyer is spun as a result of Simon Clark just getting into the rear quarter of the car. So Chris Dyer will need to get that car fired back up again. It was a light touch between the pair of them, but that is Chris Dyer, who I think will still probably hang on to 4th place. I think it's just the one place that he will lose. I think he's got the car fired up, as he ahead of Bill Cayley. He has, but only just. I mean, you can hardly see any damage to the car. It was the lightest of touches, but it was just enough when you're on the very edge of adhesion in the first place to pitch him into the spin. So from a quartet, it becomes a trio for the lead with 8.5 minutes plus a bit of change to go. Kevin Harrison leads, Pete Morris leads Simon Clark as they'll come over the start-finish line. Now this is for the lead of Class 3 at the moment. Darren King under enormous pressure from the car that sits directly behind him, the number 52 car. Number 53 car, and that will be Wayne Gregory. So 8 minutes to go. Darren King needs to stick his elbows out here if he wants to try and hang on to the lead of the class. He's had a Class 3 win earlier on this season, and can he manage to do something else? Slight mistake there from Darren King presents the opportunity, and through he goes to take the place away. So sorry, that's Darren Labette, isn't it? So it's Wayne Gregory. It is the 52 car, so it is Darren Labette's car. Darren is the white and blue car with the gold flashes, whereas Wayne Gregory's identical livery in that respect in terms of the sponsors, but his is the blue and gold one. So that's the shuffle in the order for Class 3, apologies. 7.5 minutes to go now. Kevin Harrison has just opened up a bit more of a gap now, it looked like, between himself and Pete Morris behind, but by the time they get towards the Vale and Club, that seems to have evaporated again rather. Simon Clark is the man who seems to be reeling in those around again. He sits there in 3rd place. He had that contact with Chris Dyer. I don't think there's any ill effects as a result of the contact between the pair of them. So Simon Clark in full attack mode again once more. Pete Morris gets a little bit squirrely and instantly loses 2nd place, drops down into 3rd place. So the double champion from the last couple of years, 2020 and 2021, Simon Clark picks up another position now. Picked up 3rd place last time through as a result of the contact between himself and Chris Dyer. Picks up 2nd now as a result of the wiggly moment heading round through Abbey for Pete Morris. And he will now look to see whether he can reel in Kevin Harrison, who has been leading this race since the lights went out in reality. So 6.5 minutes for Kevin Harrison to really just do what he's been doing so far in this race, which is lead from the front, but he's never had, I don't think, anything more than a 2nd gap between himself and the pack behind. So big spin. That is Wayne Gregory. So that's the Wayne Gregory car I misidentified earlier on. He should scoop that up and get it pointing in the right direction. And then we've still got this great little fight going on towards the tail end of the field as well, which is for places outside of the top 30, I think, as well. So it's another one we need to keep an eye on. That was Eric Bridges and the likes of Simon Ruffle-Ward still busy having their squabble. So I think everybody, almost without exception, has had somebody to squabble with in this one. There goes that fight that I'm talking about. The purple and light green car is Eric Bridges, then it's Simon Ruffle-Ward. The purple and silver car behind is Stephen Shaw, and Stephen Shaw has got, I think that's Faye Noble Evans sitting behind them. So all of these cars outside of the top 30. Vince Blackett gains a place there, under braking on Julian Morris. So that is going to be 14th and 15th position. And that will actually be for, what, 6th and 7th, I think, in the class. Fritz Blacker was really just getting that place back because he was ahead of Morris at the start of the lap. He dropped behind him, he gets it back, and I think he's going to lose it again by the time he gets in towards the braking area for Brooklands, is he? Yes, he does. Julian Morris returns the favour instantly, so squeezes the orange and light blue car with its 3M support down the side of the car, back up into position. So they've swapped back, they've swapped again. They've got 5 minutes to try and sort out as to who wants to finish 6th and who wants to finish 7th in Class 2 at this stage. But now it's starting to get busy for our race leader, Kevin Harrison, because for the first time, he's got a raft of traffic to deal with, and it's cars that are busy fighting away. He needs to carve his way effectively past Stephen Shaw's car. He just about gets the door closed on Simon Clark, who's running in 2nd place. They now need to pick off Eric Bridges, 3 wide, up towards the braking area for the loop, but Kevin Harrison again does what he needs to do there. Simon Clark gets a little bit squirrely on the exit of the corner as he tries to apply the power in his 996 to try and hunt down Kevin Harrison. Backmarker's doing a good job of just staying out of harm's way while the top 3 weave their way through the traffic, but it doesn't stop there. You get past that lot of traffic and just up the road is the next batch of cars that you need to deal with, and for Kevin Harrison, he cannot afford to be compromised. 4 minutes of the race to go. He's led every lap so far, but he's under pressure from the number 23 of Simon Clark, who equally as much is in that dichotomy. He wants to attack, he's got to defend. He's got Pete Morris sitting directly behind him, and they're about to head on to what ultimately is going to be their penultimate lap this time through. So over the start-finish line go the leading trio. Traffic dealt with for the moment as they squeeze their way through and past Brian Richardson's car. That's the number 13 car that's now been placed a lap down, so they can concentrate their efforts fully on the road ahead and not have to worry about what the traffic is doing around them. So nose to tail for the lead. Kevin Harrison feeling the pinch ever more from Simon Clark, who looks that little bit racier, I would say, at this stage. He seemed to lose out a little bit. Again, the car moves around on him mid-corner there, heading round through Beckett. You could just see the tail end of the 23 car was twitching again as he worked the Pirellis a little bit too hard, and at this stage of the race they just started to say that that was enough, and all of a sudden he's lost a bit of momentum heading down the Hanger Straight, which gives Pete Morris an opportunity to try and see whether he can unlock the door and work his way back through from 3rd up to 2nd. Squeeze the throttle again as you head out of Stowe, down in towards the downhill braking area for the Vale. Make sure you get into the corner effectively, avoid the sausage curves, but more importantly get out of Club quickly, because you carry that momentum through Club, past the wing and all the way up towards Abbey, and then ultimately in towards the braking area for Village, which is where they'll be heading very shortly. And remember, there's only one more tour of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit after this lap, I don't think. So I don't think it's 25 minutes plus one lap. I think it's just the straight 25 minutes this weekend. So weaving their way in towards the braking area for Village. Simon Clark, maybe that little bit more effective on the brakes. Chris Dyer, who was right up there, remember, in 4th position before he was tipped into that spin, or is still fighting well with Bill Cayley's green and gold car. Whilst they weave their way through the traffic, they'll be fighting away for what is 4th and 5th position. Bill Cayley was ahead of Chris Dyer as they came over the start-finish line. That order is reversed, and this car still comfortably leads Class 2 as well, which is Colin Tester on for yet another win in Class 2. Colin Tester had a difficult weekend at Alton Park, where 3rd in class was the best that he could muster. Prior to that, he was always either 1st or 2nd in class, but if he comes through to win, it would be his 4th class win of the season, and it certainly looks as though number 12 Tim Bates is on for the win in the 911 Challenge, largely as a result of the unfortunate spin for James Neal, who had been leading the class. And as for Class 3, well, this is the fight that's going on for 5th in Class 3 at this stage. For the lead of Class 3, here we go, up towards the braking area. We see car number 117, which is going to be the car of Darren King, who had been leading Class 3, but has now dropped to 2nd in Class 3 as the number 52 of Darren Lebec has gone through. So 45 seconds remaining on the clock. Simon Clark in now full attack mode. He's trying to get a really good run on Kevin Harrison as they came out of Chapel that time through. Sitting right behind Kevin Harrison, he's going to have to hug the right-hand side of the circuit as they head up towards Stowe, which means that Simon Clark is going to have to try and take a wide line into Stowe, see whether he might be able to cut back on the exit and do anything on the run in towards the Vale, or maybe keep his powder dry for something into the braking area, maybe for Village or the Loop. We'll have to wait and see. So nothing going in towards the Vale. Kevin Harrison has led every lap so far in this 9th round of the 2022 Petro-Canada Lubricants Club Championship, Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. Is he going to win the race? And there's still traffic to deal with as well just up the road. Sarah Thompson's car, the number 90 car, yellow and red car, is the next of those that are going to have to want to try and pick off, and that's the car that's running in 27th position in the race and 8th in Class 3 currently. So Simon Clark weaving around the tail end of Kevin Harrison's car. Kevin's been around racing long enough to know what he needs to do, just get the car positioned correctly, and the boost oxygen back machine will meet the traffic, as far as he's concerned, in the perfect place, which is on the Wellington Straight. So Sarah Thompson will move out of harm's way. Kevin Harrison will try and utilise the back marker to ensure that he doesn't come under attack from Simon Clark, but Simon Clark has got very few opportunities now to try and wrestle the lead from the grasp of Kevin Harrison, who is on course potentially for win number 2 of the championship season, backing up the win that he took at Brands Hatch earlier on in the year. But there's more traffic to deal with, and it's the number 53 car of Wayne Gregory that's ahead of him. The blue flag's being waved by the marshals to forewarn the traffic that the race leaders are coming through, and on the charge to the flag, looks as though Kevin Harrison is just about going to have enough in hand as he comes over the start-finish line to win round 9 of the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli here at Silverstone. Kevin Harrison claims the win. Simon Clark just a quarter of a second behind him in the end in 2nd place, and half a second off that is the car that completes the podium, which is Pete Morris in 3rd place. Who's going to finish in 4th? It's just going to be the red and black car of Chris Dyer, who finishes in 4th place. Bill Cayley will finish in 5th position, and then 6th place should be the car that's first home in Class 2, which will be that dark blue and white and Dayglow liveried machine. Here it comes now, of Colin Tester, who will finish in 6th position and be the winner of Class 2. And I think it is fair to say that that is the first time this season that a Class 2 car has finished inside the top 6. And plenty of other class wins for Colin Tester, but that's the first time a Class 2 car has finished inside the top 6 all season in the Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. Waiting the arrival of the 911 Challenge car home. The winner of that should be the number 12 car of Tim Bates. So once we get these next 2 cars through and over the start-finish line, the next car should be the number 12 Porsche 911 of Tim Bates, who will be heading up towards the checkered flag. Heading through is Nathan Lucky at the wheel of his Porsche. He's about to take the checkered flag and heads over the start-finish line now, but he is a little bit off the pace of the rest of the 911s, because here comes Tim Bates now, the number 12 car. That is the winner of the 911 Challenge, and then we just need to get over the start-finish line what should be the number 52 car of Darren Labette, who will be the winner of the Autofarm Porsche Boxster Cup. And he has had a busy old race, Darren Labette, but there's a few more cars to take the checkered flag before him and everybody else. So where is Darren Labette? He should be trickling his way over the start-finish line in a couple of cars' time. So through has gone James Neal, through goes the number 27 car, and the 64 of Vince Blacker, who had a busy old race, did Vince Blacker, I've got to say. Every time I saw Vince Blacker there was a squabble going on. And here's the winner of Class 3. So over the start-finish line now comes the car that is going to win Class 3, which is Darren Labette, comes through to win Class 3 and finish in 19th place overall after pretty much a race-long battle with 117, which was Darren King. But for Darren Labette, he will be very pleased indeed with that, because that is only his 2nd class win of the season, and his 1st class win of the season came on the 2nd of April for the opening championship round that took place at Donington Park. So it's been a long time coming, this one, for Darren Labette, his 2nd win of the season. He'll be as pleased as punch with that one, and also I'm no doubt very happy with not just the pace that he has, but the fact that he was embroiled in a great battle with that car there, the number 117 car of Darren King. So I think everybody now has taken the checkered flag. Into the pit lane comes Kevin Harrison. He will be as pleased as punch with that victory, say his 2nd of the championship season, and in particular the fact that he converted pole position to the race lead, led every single lap, was always under pressure, never had a lead that was anything larger than probably about 0.8 of a second. And as we say, the pole I think it's 2001, Kevin suggested earlier on, was the last time that he managed to start from pole position. So he'll be absolutely delighted with that. So the last few cars just trickling their way through. We should be able to grab a quick word with the top three as well, because I think John Jackson has pointed himself in the general direction of the pit lane area, where we're hoping to catch up with the top three in the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli, which of course included the 911 Challenge and the Autofarm Boxster Cup, and we thank Autofarm for their continued support of the Boxster Cup and our action here this weekend at Silverstone. So a huge grid of cars. Remember, that's only the first race as well. We've got another race to look forward to later on over the course of this afternoon here, with the next race for the Porsches scheduled to get underway around about 6 o'clock this evening is when we're expecting the green flag to drop. But of course we've got lots of other support races coming up prior to that as well, so it may well be that the timetable is adjusted depending on how we're getting on. You know, if we can start early, we will. If there's been incidents in some of the other supporting races, then we may well be starting late, but just make sure that you are ready and poised for our second race of the day coming up, which of course will be round 10 of the championship before they pack things away from here and head off to Brands Hatch for 2 more races. So with the cars back in the pit lane, let's hand you down to John Jackson to get some reaction.
Yeah, well, I'm down here as the top 3 drivers congratulate each other here. First and second place, we're going to get involved in the action. Right, let's let them take their photos first. It's very important to get the photos to make sure that they've made some moments. Let me grab a word. Kevin, a nice little battle towards the end there, but you managed to hold him off.
I did, yeah, that was very close, and yeah, it took all my skills to keep him at bay, but yeah, it was good fun.
I was going to say, you're looking pretty hot and tired. It's pretty cold out here at Silverstone today, but in the car it must be pretty warm.
It's really warm in the car, yeah, always is in that car, but hard work, but really good fun.
Do you expect more of a challenge later on as well?
Yes. Yeah, we'll see. I do like a challenge, yeah.
You can never rest easy?
No, not with this lot, not at all.
Well, best of luck in that next race, but congratulations for winning. We'll let you get to the podium now, and we'll move along here. And we'll speak to Simon. Simon, you had a pretty good go there at the end, but you didn't quite get past him.
No, teammate rules and all that. He had the legs on me today, or this morning, but yeah, no, it was a great race, really good fun. Nice to be at the F1 circuit here with our sponsors, Fusion.
It's an exceptional circuit. It's one of the circuits that people watch worldwide, and you know, to be out on there. Do you ever drive around thinking, hang on a minute, I'm actually on the track at Silverstone? Because I would.
Yeah, all the time. I wasn't very pleased with my quality, and I was just getting having to tell myself I'm super fortunate to be here. And absolutely, it's a mega place to be.
Absolutely. And in the next race, are you expecting to have a fierce battle at the front?
Yeah, I think I'm starting from second, which is nice. That's actually on the inside here, which is a bit odd. I think that's for the F1 cars that are staggered, whereas we're not. So it gives a second place person a little bit of an advantage. So you never know. We'll see. Kevin's a quick starter, though. So
absolutely is. Well, second place is great. We'll see you on the podium. Well done, and best of luck with the next race.
Lovely. Thank you. Cheers.
Right, we're going to move on here. Do we have our third place driver? Peter. Oh, you're a man that looks hot.
I'm definitely hot, but I'm not worn out. But yeah, what a great race. It's nice to see Kev back on the podium, because me and Kev go back years. And cracking race. I thought I could have got the win, but I've got the heaviest car in the field. Okay, I've got 50 brake horsepower, but I'm counting the 165 kilos of ballast.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So the tyres just go off. I mean, I'm dreading the next race. I think it was drift complex, I think. Yeah. Well,
my next question was going to be what are you expecting the next race, but it's going to be tougher.
I like a podium, but like the way the tyres are going off, then I nursed them for a bit, and then like 4 laps at the end, they just went off, and I had a huge moment coming past the complex, and Clark got past me. Fair play, you know. So yeah, it was a great race. I enjoyed it.
I was going to say, very exciting for the viewers, and I'm sure the next race will be just as exciting.
I enjoyed it as well, thank you.
Awesome stuff, Pete. Thank you very much. Pete Morris there, coming third wall. Obviously those guys are heading off to the podium there, and that was an exceptional race, and there's more racing coming up later on in the Porsche Cup.